every day. Follow socials, here's the way.
GurlTauX. Every platform come to play. Catch our vibe, don't delay.
Facebook, YouTube streams, scrolling through your daily memes. GurlTauX show, don't miss out. Join the fun, see what GurlTauX is all about. Keeping it real, it's what we do. So tune in now and join our crew. Life's moving through the screen, click subscribe, don't be neat. Upbeat chatter, it's our routine. GurlTauX show, don't miss out. Join the fun, see what GurlTauX is all about. GurlTauX is who we are. Come hang with us on your tablet, phone, or screen. Anywhere GurlTauX can be seen. GurlTauX show, don't miss out. Join the fun, see what GurlTauX is all about. Update stories, laugh and cry. It's GurlTauX, so don't question why. It's the show that you'll adore. Come back daily to get some more. GurlTauX show, don't miss out. Join the fun, see what GurlTauX is all about. GurlTauX is who we are. Come hang with us on your tablet, phone, or screen. Anywhere GurlTauX can be seen. GurlTauX show, don't miss out. Join the fun, see what GurlTauX is all about. GurlTauX, log in now, watch our show. Likes and comments, let them flow. Every day we're on our way. GurlTauX show is here to stay. GurlTauX show, don't miss out. Join the fun, see what GurlTauX is all about.
Hey, good morning or good afternoon or good evening, whatever time of day it is, wherever you are. Because, you can watch this from anywhere. So could be morning, could be afternoon, could be evening. Right here in Alabama, it is 7:00, 7:08 actually. But hey, how's everybody doing on this glorious Friday? I decided to wear my USA. It's not the 4th of July or anything, but freedom and my USA hat. So before I get into today's show, which is about your why, your purpose, I want to talk a little tiny bit about some stuff that I talked about earlier in the week. And that is, and I'm going to do probably a recap sometime this weekend on a few of these things because I think it's important to talk about. All the important things that are going on in the news currently, especially since I am a patriot, I am a MAGA supporter, I am a Trump supporter. I am not an all hail Trump. If he does something wrong or something I disagree with, I will speak up. So far, I have been happy with the things that he's doing, so I'm not going to say anything super negative. Sometimes I wish he would think before he speaks, but hey, he is who he is, and I've come to accept that. But I do want to talk about some of the other things. Like, there's a lot of bashing of the bimbos. I did it, the bimbos in space. And here's the thing. I would prefer if they would just say, yes, it was a joyride. Yes, it was fun. What I dislike the most is that they're calling themselves astronauts simply because they went to suborbital. But I want to talk about a few of the things that people have said, and I am going to send myself real quick a picture so that I can share this with y'all. But it is all right. Send. Okay, I sent it. Now I can share this with you. But there's been some talk about how there's no way possible that they even did this, that this was fake altogether. And that I do disagree with because of the fact that there were an awful lot of witnesses for such fakery. First of all, so let's clear that part up. Um, there was an awful lot of witnesses that witnessed them go in it and witnessed them take off into the stratosphere, so to speak. But the other part of it is where people are saying it couldn't have possibly happened is because they're talking about the fact that there's no burns on the capsule, um and that it was fake inside all the windows. They didn't wear helmets. I said that from the very beginning. They're not so going so far that they don't even need helmets. That's actually the reason why they didn't have helmets, is because they didn't really need them where they were going. The inside of the capsule was pressurized, and we have had enough advancements. And I want to make one other thing clear. When they say they did this to get publicity so they can sell seats to it, there has already been the selling of seats to it. I went to the NASA, I live right near Huntsville, Alabama. So I went to the NASA Space Center where they have Space Camp and other things. There is a seat inside there showing what the seat looks like in the Blue Origin inside the museum that you can go tour. And it literally has on there talks about how much the tickets would be and how you can buy a ticket. And they're already starting to take reservations for tickets to go on this short little jaunt. This is not the first group of people that have gotten rides to go up and do it. Also, uh, who's the guy that had the music? I can't think of it. But he has airplanes, and he has his own as well. But he used to own the music place where you sold music. For the life of me, I can't think of it. Steve, if you're listening and you can remember what that is, can you please send that to me? But so he, I don't know which one this is. No, I don't want. I want to share this one here. How come it's not allowing that to show? Okay, let me see. I want to share this screen. Window. There we go. Got it. Window. All right. So I'm going to share this with you. And there's no sound on this, so I'm just going to share it with you while I talk. So here we go. This is the route that they took. They did the rocket launch, and then they go up to this point here, and that is the rocket hits point of maximum stress. Then they go up to here, and that is main engine cutoff. And then they go to here, and that is where you have the capsule separates from the booster. And then you go to here, and that is the Kármán line, 100 kilometers above the Earth is basically where that is. And capsule passes the Kármán line and officially enters space, but it is suborbital. It is not orbital. They do not have burn-in trajectory. They don't have to go through the little window because they could not do this if they went orbital, because they can't go. There's only certain windows and certain locations that they can pop back through, and there's a certain time frame that they have to do that. So then they're up here for like 2 to 3 minutes. I think it says like 3 to 4 minutes is what this says of weightlessness, and this is as they're continuing. They go here and they continue around, and then that's during that period of time, they have 3 to 4 minutes of weightlessness, or 2 to 4 minutes, I think is more accurate. And while they're up there, of course, this piece right here is the drag brakes deploy, the engine relights, and the booster touches down on the landing pad. Okay, so now the booster is back on the landing pad, or a landing pad. I don't know if it went back to the exact same one or what. So now they're up here and they're going, and its crew experiences 3 to 4 minutes. I say it's 2 to 4 minutes of weightlessness. They come here and they're popped all the way back through. So like literally from this time to this time is 2 to 4 minutes, and they pop back through. They come down and the parachutes deploy. Boom, they land. New Shepard lands back on Earth. And the entire segment from here all the way around and back down was 11 minutes. I think you get a longer ride on the Harry Potter ride at Universal. But anyway, so it is still a ride. I don't care what these women say. It's still a ride. And the interview that Gayle King said that she was offended that people were saying it was frivolous. It is frivolous. Nothing of importance other than proving that you could take some random people up there that have no controls and don't do anything. They're just passengers. So it's a passenger ride, and that's what that was. That's what that is. And the fact that they don't have re-entry burn, that's why it wasn't burned up. That's why they were able to have more windows. There have been jets in the military as they were testing and training different jets that I believe have passed the Kármán line. I'm not 1,000% sure on that. Don't quote me on it, but I believe there were at some point in time that had happened. So needless to say, what I'm saying is it's not that it was fake. It's that it was silly and fun for them to do. And I'm not going to lie. I've already said it once. I'll say it again. If I were given the opportunity and somebody told me, "Hey, you too can do this," I would do it. I would take the if somebody said you can do it, I'll pay for it. I would go. I'm not afraid of heights like that, so I would go. I wouldn't be afraid of it. But let's call it what it is. And for them, it was exciting to do, and it was really out there. There was the risk factor at any point in time. It could have gone haywire. Those that were wondering and trying to figure out why in the world Katy Perry had a stupid flower. If you watched her interview or you were interested in it at all, she took a daisy because her child's name is Daisy. So she took a daisy. Quite a few of them took something that their child or someone gave them to take up there with them. I'm sure Gayle King's girlfriend, Oprah, probably had her take their secret wedding rings with them or something so they could be blessed out in space. I don't know. But there was the impact that this had is it's backfiring a lot because a lot of the things that are being said and how they're projecting it were astronauts. I think that's the biggest thing that people are so upset about the most is be authentic and be real. You're not astronauts, you are passengers, and that there's a possibility that you got to do something because of your status, because of your money, because of your wealth that allowed you to do it. So pretending that it was like you guys went through, rigorous training in order to do this, like they do with real astronauts. Real astronauts don't pay to go to space. Let's just put it that way. They don't pay to go to space. I don't know how many had to pay. I don't know what the ticket prices were. It looked like somewhere out there it said it was $500,000. I know when I went through the thing at the Space Center, I think it said something about at that point in time, the tickets were being sold for like $1.5 million or something. And anyone that has that kind of money basically could buy a ticket to go ride in one of his wiener shaped rockets. Now I also know that that it is not the first time that there have been passengers on any of these. So I know that Blue Origin has taken people up. Virgin Galactic. That's who I was thinking of. So right here, and I can share this screen with you too, but there's Blue Origin, which is owned by Jeff Bezos. There's Astroscale, there's Space Forge, there's SpaceX, which is by Elon Musk. There is Bigelow Aerospace, which is by Robert Bigelow. There's Ad Astra Rocket Company by Franklin R. Chang Diaz. So I'm assuming there's two people there. Virgin Atlantic, which is Virgin Records, the founder Richard Branson, and I think there's two people on the one with him. That is Richard Branson and the Virgin Group. So it's a conglomerate which retains 11.9% stakes of the Virgin Investments Limited. Okay. So there is that. Sierra Space, which is by Faith Osman and Aaron Osman. And the Agnicool, that's another. These are all private space companies. Aaron Space, that's I believe that one is in France. Independence X Aerospace, United Launch Alliance, Clear Space, Relativity Space, Arc Space, Orbit Fab, Longwall, Lockheed Martin. That's a well-known engine builder and aircraft builder. Axiom Space, Boeing, another well-known aircraft builder and rocket builder. Rocket Labs, Astrospace, Orbital Science Corps, and Astrobotic Technologies. So there are an awful lot of private companies that are on this space race. And because there are so many, there is a lot of things that are happening, that are happening within that race. So when they sell tickets to ride on a capsule to go to space for 10 minutes, I mean, let's just say, to go to space for 3 minutes while the entire ride is 11 minutes. Well, you go to an amusement park ride, you sit in line, you get in. I mean, the lines, we usually complain that the line, staying in that line was longer than the ride. Oops, sorry, I spilt on myself. So you have these people who are really bashing it in the way of this was fake and this didn't happen at all, when you can disprove all the things that they're saying, like the reason why they didn't have helmets, the reason why it's not all burnt up on reentry, because it didn't have reentry. There is that. It just went up and it just followed the path and came right back down. It didn't, and there wasn't as much work to be done. I wish they would give a lot more credit to the engineers and the people behind making it happen. I think that would be much more productive if you ask me. Um, but they didn't, and that's not part of it, and it's unfortunate, but it is a factor. Um, space, um developer space rocket, I think that's what he's calling them, rocket developer with 3D printing. Okay, so I'm gonna pull this one up real quick here, and, um, this if you haven't seen this, you can go and watch this, um you can watch this guy on, I think it's on Netflix, it's with Keanu Reeves and somebody else when they're looking at new inventions and, inventors that are doing new things, um, but it's pretty amazing what this guy is actually doing. What this guy is doing, and he is innovating because he is making some headway with, um, the private sector of space exploration, or the race to to Mars is really what we're in now, and it has become a privatized, endeavor because that's where the money really is, and selling $1,000,000 tickets for an 11-minute ride. Well, I know that just going to Disneyland is super expensive nowadays. So there's a factor in that. It's true. Um, However, we have, not as many billionaires and millionaires that can afford to do that. Therefore, you're probably going to end up with a lot less people able to do it. So, let's just watch this for just 30, 45 seconds or so, or a minute.
Activity Space, a startup that aims to print an entire
Again with the no
this
volume, right? I do this every time, and you guys probably are like, "Could you remember to put the volume on?" It's not that difficult. Um, I know, not that
this
difficult.
is the world's largest 3D metal printer. It was built by Relativity Space, a startup that aims to print an entire rocket, including fuel tanks and rocket engines, in just 60 days. I'm like looking inside a 3D printed rocket that is actually going to go to space. This giant hunk of metal. It's unbelievable. This video is sponsored by Omaze, offering you the chance to win a trip to space. More about that at the end of the show. There's a lot of UV coming off the welds. You can film it, but don't look directly at it.
You get sunburned fast, so it's like you're suiting up to go in a volcano.
All right, we're gonna go in to the 3D printer and see how it works.
All right, so yep, just hold this up, don't look at it. We are in the printer.
I can see it over there.
If we walk around here, we can get up close. So that's the wire melting and the print head moving around. So that's the plasma discharge, and it's hard to tell, but it's doing things at every couple milliseconds. It's actually
Now, I just wanna say, the amount of innovation that it has taken to get to this point in our lives that they can do something like this. Now, he has had one successful launch. He's had several unsuccessful ones. They are just launches. Nobody's on board. They have not put anybody up in anyone. But if you want to watch more on that, go to I think it's on Netflix. It's and I don't think I don't think Relativity was even listed on, that list. Oh, yeah, Relativity Space, it was. That's Tim Ellis and Jordan Noon, um, and it was listed on that sheet. But go to let me see if I can find, uh, Keanu Reeves. new show. It is it's this new thing that he's doing, innovation. Keanu Reeves innovation shows. It's called Visionaries. So, and I believe it is on Netflix, if I'm not mistaken. Actually, they have a trailer for it. Let me play this trailer real quick. I think it's really cool though when we see these different things that are innovative. Now, the reason I'm even sharing this is because one of the things my mom said to me when I was talking to her about this is she said, "Well, um we don't have uh people that are inventing things anymore." And in essence, kind of yes and kind of no. They're not necessarily inventing something that's never been done. They're now improving on it. Like nobody is ever going to introduce the car again. The car was a one-time innovation. The light bulb was a one-time innovation, but now we have LED lights. We have all sorts of different, lighting, and we have cars and different things now. So the inventing is different today than originally. So now it's innovation of what we already have for certain technologies, like the phones, the Graham Bell, the original phone. What was hardly anything. Now look at what we have for phones. So it's all about innovation and improvements and making things bigger, better, and badder. So let's watch this real quick. This
Looks like a lot of fun. I am Keanu Reeves with Gurl TauX.
Since Arch Motorcycle began, curiosity has been our lifeblood.
Searching for inspiration from those who help shape and change the world around us.
We're fueled by far more than just designing motorcycles.
Arch is all about discovering new ideas.
We'll take you from the rugged shores of Norway to thousands of feet underwater.
What the hell is that?
And into the unexpected.
Our long-term mission is the colonization of Mars.
This is a quest for inspiration.
And this is only the beginning. Arch is a mindset,
When you're experimenting to create something that hasn't been done before.
a lens through which to see the world.
You expand the borders of where you think you can go.
Wow.
Creating is paramount. You have to be a visionary.
They inspire us to think differently.
Which means creativity.
Visionaries who are changing everything allow us to learn from their perspective.
These are the largest metal 3D printers in the world, used to make the rocket.
Wait, what?
Really?
Yeah.
Economy, scale, efficiency, innovation.
Creations are things that are born out of a lust for possibility.
Arch is always searching to look at the world in a new way.
Art does not have to follow building regulations.
This is so cool. Only these extremophiles can survive there.
You an extremophile? Witness humans pushing the bounds of innovation.
This is a search for inspiration.
Arch Motorcycle is all about the ride.
I was wrong. It's on Roku. Anyway, that is a really interesting. I've already started watching that, and it is really interesting to hear and see the different innovations. And I had actually started watching this before this this mission to space by the Bezos Bimbo Barbies. And yeah, that's what I'm calling them. But again, that's because of how they act, not because they're stupid. They're not stupid ladies, but why they have to act stupid is something else. Now let's get to the real show. Hey, y'all, welcome to Gurl TauX. You know, it's Gurl TauX with an extra sass. That means we're going to talk about it. I'm your host, Tori. Don't forget, I'm a proud mom. I'm an entrepreneur, a survivor who's been through the highs, lows, and hot flashes of life after 50. after raising kids, running businesses, and navigating everything from menopause to rediscovering my own fire. That's what I'm doing now. I'm here to spark real talk for women who refuse to fade into the background. And fellas, stick around. You might learn a thing or two. Today, we're diving into purpose after 50, finding your why. Because, honey, 50 ain't the finish line. It's the starting gun for your next big thing, your next chapter, your rebirth, if you will. Finding your why is as important as knowing what your why was prior to your 50s, because many of us, our why was being a mom, being a business owner, being a member of the military, a soldier, a Marine, as a first responder, a firefighter, a police officer. I say a lot of those because that's where my field was. Being a journalist. But at some point, you kind of start redirecting. And we've talked about possible retirement, getting ready for retirement. That's another part of your next chapter. So in that next chapter, you find you may have another why. You may have a new why. You may have a new purpose. So we've got stories, stats, and some spicy advice coming your way. So grab your coffee or your wine and let's get into it. I'm going to start with some stats here. 60% of women over 50 report wanting to pursue new goals or passions. That is really, really great to hear. 60% of people are wanting to go for something new or a new passion or a new goal. But 45% feel stuck due to societal expectations or self-doubt. There's an awful lot of people that think, and that was AARP 2023. A lot of people think, I'm over 50. Like, I can't do anything now. I'm too old to start something. I'm too old to start going to school. I'm too old to go do that one thing I really always wanted to do. I don't think you're ever too old to go do that. Life expectancy for women in the US is 79.3 years, meaning post 50 is often 25 plus years of opportunity. Remember that, 25 plus years of opportunity, 25 years of a new passion, a new why, a new direction. You can find something new to do. You don't have to do just one specific thing for your entire life. There is always a chance for something new. There's always a chance to start something that you've never started before. Have you ever wanted to write that book you've always wanted to write? Yeah. You could go write that book. I have to copy this one because the link is not working. But you can always find a new part of what you once were thinking of doing. Like, let's say you always wanted to write a book or you always wanted to do something else, but you never got to it because life got in the way. If life gets in the way, which can happen, and we quite often think about ourselves on a specific trajectory. You have planned to do this, you've planned to do that, and that's all you ever planned to do. Therefore, going after something new is not feasible in your mindset. Your mindset has to change for what you want to do for yourself. And sometimes, some people call it a midlife crisis. Men often go out and buy a hot rod or something like that. But what do women do? Women get involved in something new. Maybe even your new why is just taking care of yourself and actually, you know, um, maybe changing your life habits and getting healthier. That could be your new why. Like just making yourself better can be a new why. A lot of people don't think of it that way. They think of it like my why has to be a specific thing. And you don't have to have one specific thing in order to find um, what your why is or what your purpose is. I do have a video here to share real quick. Let me pull it up real fast. Um, hold on one second. Let me share my screen because it doesn't do any good if you all can't see it. Um, right? I like to share this with you so you can share it with me. All right, here we go. If you're like me, I'm like, okay, are you going to say something or are you just going to stand up? Obviously, he must be pretty nervous or something, or he's just trying to have that pause for dramatic effect.
On the last evening of my 25th college reunion, there was a party in a tent. There was dancing and music and noise, so much noise that a lot of us started to drift out of the tent so we could hear each other talk and catch up with classmates that we had not seen in more than 2 decades. As I talked with my friends, I made an astounding discovery. 80% of them were unhappy with their lives. I feel as though I've wasted my life and I'm halfway through it, they said. I don't know what my life is all about. Now, I was privileged to go to Yale, and we were standing on a summer evening in the middle of Yale's old campus, and the people that I was speaking with were privileged and highly educated and financially well off and in positions of power. And they had the first house.
I would have to say also, you find quite a few people that may have followed a path, especially at our age now in our 50s. There's an awful lot of people who followed a path that maybe their parents wanted for them. And it might not have been what their passion was, what they wanted to do. Maybe they wanted to do acting. Okay, so let's just do a little scenario here real quick. What if that was something you always wanted to do, was you always wanted to be an actor or you always wanted to be involved in that? Go down and join like a local improv group or a local theater group. Excuse me. I've never seen even small towns have them. So a lot of times you find people are miserable in their adult lives, in their midlife crisis era, that are unhappy because they chose a direction that wasn't passion, purpose based. They followed something for the money. They followed something for what they wanted or thought they had to do. I'm going to discuss my son for just a moment. So my son was in the military, and he left the military after he got out, and he went into corporate America, and he had some great background. He got some great positions. He started building an excellent career for himself in quality control with big manufacturing companies and all of that. And he was making very good money, doing very, very well. He's married. I have 3 granddaughters, but he was miserable. He wasn't happy with what he was doing because it was outside of his purpose. His purpose was service. He loved to serve. And when he was in the Marine Corps, he had gotten injured and he was in the process of trying to get back into the Marine Corps. And while he was doing that, we had a discussion. I said, maybe don't go backwards, maybe find something and go forward. And he had applied to the federal marshals. And in the process of applying to the federal marshals, he was still possibly pursuing going back in the military as an officer. And he had put himself through school. He now has a PhD. He's very educated, very smart. He has been on the cover of CrossFit magazine. He's been involved in a lot of other things. He's done some incredible stuff. But when he was in corporate world, he didn't feel fulfilled. He wasn't happy, and he wasn't following his purpose. So he left a big, expensive corporate job for a federal job, and he is much happier because he is following a purpose. He's following something that makes him feel like he is following his why, his purpose, his need to serve the people. And sometimes these people that find themselves unhappy and unfulfilled, it's because they followed money and they followed something that they weren't passionate about so that they could make that money and have that big house and have all that stuff. But quite often you find that they're working themselves to death and they're not being able to enjoy the life that they've built, even though they have all the money in the world to do those things and they have all the success, but they don't have the fulfillment because all they do is work in order to provide that lifestyle. So there you go. We're going to get back to this guy.
And the second house. And they had the first spouse and the second spouse. And 80% of them were unhappy with their lives. Who was happy? The 20%? Well, we had studied literature and Renaissance rhetoric, and we were the theater people and the history geeks. We had studied classes for the joy of learning, not because we thought they were going to direct us to a specific job. We still got jobs. We were living our lives expansively with life's ups and downs, and we did not feel that we had wasted a single minute. And as I spoke with the 20%, the happier 20%, I discovered that each of them knew something about their life purpose because they knew 5 things: who they were, what they did, who they did it for, what those people wanted or needed, and what they got out of it, how they changed as a result. Does that sound hard? It's not. It's actually...
That was the whole purpose of me sharing that part of this. It's only, 2.5 minutes. If you want to watch the rest of this, just Google in how to know your life's purpose in 5 minutes. Now, this whole thing is like 10 minutes long. I'm not going to play the entire 10 minutes, but those 5 things are really important for you to know. Knowing those 5 things, and maybe you need to write that down for yourself, write down what those 5 things are. But knowing those 5 things can help you with what your new purpose is or what your purpose really is. But knowing who you are, knowing who they were, what they did, and who they did it for.
What those people wanted
or needed.
And what they got out of it.
And
how
what they got
changed
out
as a
of
result.
it. And that's how you can change your life and your trajectory for your new purpose. Or maybe you've always had a purpose and you just never pursued it. So that's something that you can think about as we go through this portion here. Um, it is really funny when you find yourself looking back at your past and you go, like, I did all this, but am I still um, unfulfilled? Let's lighten the mood a little bit with GurlTauX humor. Why did the 50-year-old start a new career? Because she realized the only thing she was retiring from was caring what other people think. I think even though it's a joke, think about it. A lot of people finally go after what they've always wanted because they finally got to an age where they just didn't give a shit anymore what somebody else thinks. If you've got a better one, drop it in the comments. Send me a joke. Um, it's always interesting when we get to a point in our lives where we say, I don't care what anybody thinks anymore. I don't care. Let's get real for a minute. Society loves to tell us that 50, it's all downhill from now. It's all downhill from here on out. Your kids move out, your body changes. Suddenly, you're supposed to trade your dreams for knitting and early bird specials. You're supposed to get the rocking chair and sit out on the porch. Oh, no, ma'am. I'm here to tell you, when you stop living for everyone else and start living for you, and you can find a purpose that after 50, it isn't about chasing what you did in your 20s. It's about finding your why now. Maybe it's starting a business, mentoring the next generation, finding or taking that salsa dance lesson or your square dancing class or whatever it is, or that thing you've been eyeing, or that art you've been wanting to learn how to do, painting, sculpting, whatever it is, writing that book you've always wanted to do. Here's the tea. Purpose isn't some mystical thing you find under a rock. It's about what lights you up and what keeps you going. For me, it was launching GurlTauX. I have a raw, real conversation with y'all, but I get it. Finding that spark can feel like looking for your keys in a purse with no bottom. You're just digging around with nothing in there. Studies show 70% of adults over 50 feel a renewed desire for meaning. But only 30% actively pursue it because of fear or feeling too old. Too old? Please, seriously. Oprah was 54 when she launched OWN. Vera Wang designed her first wedding dress at, guess what, 40 years old. And she became iconic in her 50s. The truth is, purpose evolves. In your 20s, it might have been a career, family. Now it's about impact, joy, legacy, what you leave behind. So tonight, we're breaking down how to find your why with stories, tips, some tough love. Because if you're breathing, you've got purpose. Let's find it together. Like I said, if that book you've always wanted to write is itching to get its way out, nowadays you have so many avenues for doing these things. You have apps, you have computers, you have pens that you can literally write with and it'll turn it into a digital. 70% of adults over 50 seek greater meaning, but fear of failure stops 40% from acting. I'm guilty of it. I have a book 99% done. Now I need to take my own advice and go finish that 1% and do something with it. Women over 50 are the fastest growing group starting businesses in the US, with 25% of new entrepreneurs in this demographics. Think about that. Women over 50 are the largest growing businesses in the US. That's pretty big. Women over 50 are living their best lives. There is a way to do that. Live your best life. You don't have to settle just because you're 50. There's nothing that says you have to settle because you're in your 50s. Who told you that? Oh, well, society. We tell ourselves that. We tell ourselves that you're done. You're at the age now that it's time to sack up. It's time for us to forget about what you want and going after it. You're too old for that. Is that true? I don't think that's true. Do too many people think that? I think there's an awful lot of people that think that. I think there's more people that think that they can't do something. I think there's a lot of people that think they can't do anything because they have aged out. I don't think people have aged out. I think they got scared because they were told they couldn't do something. Not because it's true, but because we believe it's true. My husband says, "I only care what you think." Thanks, babe. I only care what you think too. Uh, so many of us think that that we only have a specific I don't know what the word is for it, that we only have a specific thing that we can do. And I don't think there's one specific thing that we can do. We have so many other options that we tend to not pursue something that seems outside of our thought process, what we feel we can do. We think that we only have one plan, and that we're crazy when we think that we can have a secondary plan. But there is so much that you can do. There's so many things that you can pursue. And I was trying to find this other link that I saved these links, but apparently it doesn't like control click, and it says it's not available. Oh, no, it's not available anymore. Okay, so I think it's something with following these links this way, but it doesn't like my link, and I'm gonna just go past this one. But there are so many videos out there that you can find that actually talk about life after 50 and finding your new why and finding your new purpose. That when I was looking for different videos and stuff on this, there were so many to choose from, and I thought it was important to choose ones that were effective and also short videos. I didn't want big ol' long to-dos to go here. But y'all know what time it is, right? Do you know what time it is? Anybody know what time it is? Let's see. Like I said, Squirrel said, "I only care what you think." That is so sweet, and in all reality, I think I care what you think, and I care what I think. I do still care what some people think, but I care a lot less about what people think today than I did before. I think we all get into a point where we get beyond caring about what the average person cares what we're doing, and I really don't care about the people I don't know. Somebody out there in the public land that sends you nasty I live by the Joe Rogan. I live absolutely by the Joe Rogan way of doing things. Post and ghost. If I want to get in a debate or a battle with somebody, I will. But as soon as I don't want to converse with you anymore, I just post and ghost. He says the way that he deals with the hate and the vitriol is he just doesn't read them. And unfortunately, he also says that means I also don't read the good comments either. So he doesn't see the positive any more than he sees the negative. Me, I will read some of it. So you know what time it is? It's Dear Margaret time, where you can send in your burning questions on my channel, and my inner wise Auntie Margaret, minus the fruitcake recipe. We've got 3 letters about purpose after 50, so let's dive in. Remember, you can email those to dearmarg, DEARMARG, at GurlTauX.com, GurlTauX. That's because we're going to talks about it. Let's get to it.
Catch GurlTauX every day. Follow.
I played the wrong one.
Dear Margaret's here, let's dive right in. Bring your questions, let's begin. Life's a real maze. We'll help you with your coping. Dealing with life in this rat race. Honest thoughts, no sugarcoating.
Tell us your tales, your woes, your gripes. No fluff, no bows, just real life types. Sign it clever, let your pen take flight. We'll serve the truth, sharp and bright. Send us a query, take a lead. No hidden rules, no secrets to keep. Anonymous wisdom that cuts so deep. Dear Margaret's advice you'll want to reap. But in the end, let's admit we all really don't care, Margaret.
Absolutely. Absolutely true. In the end, we really don't care, Margaret. So letter number 1 here is, Dear Margaret, I'm 52, divorced, and my kids are grown. I used to love painting, but I haven't touched a brush in years. I want to start again, but I'm scared I'm too rusty or it's too late to make it a thing. Help! Signed, Brushstrokes in Buffalo. Well, Brushstrokes, I have to say, let's paint over that fear. First, you're not rusty, you're seasoned like a fine wine. It's always time to start again. And today, versus maybe when you did it before, there weren't as many resources. Stats show 65% of women over 50 who return to creative hobbies report higher life satisfaction. That's according to AARP 2023. Start small. You know, you don't have to build up a whole art studio. Set up a corner with your easel, join a local art class or a local group, follow some YouTube tutorials, check out the Artful Parent on YouTube for beginner-friendly tips. Art and Soul. There's so many different things out there. I do paint parties, but there are so many different avenues you can try. Your purpose doesn't need to be a masterpiece. It just needs to make you feel alive. So grab that brush and tell fear to take a hike and paint your life away. Paint, paint, paint. Do whatever it is that you would like to do. You can go to Artful Parent on YouTube for tips on restarting creative hobbies. And it's rediscovering art in midlife. It's a 2022 video, so you probably could follow that and check that out. Letter number 2. Dear Margaret, I'm 58 and retired from teaching. I feel like I've lost my spark. I want to do something meaningful, but I don't know where to start. Any ideas? Signed, Sparkless in Seattle. Well, maybe you could become a mentor. I'm not sure you said teacher, but you didn't say what you used to teach. Maybe you could do teaching some stuff online. There's a amazing math teacher who started a YouTube channel, and he was so fed up with the school system, he started a YouTube channel to help students, and his students could sign into his YouTube and watch his math tutorials to help him. Well, he got so popular on YouTube doing math that he no longer teaches at a regular school. You could teach online to help kids who need tutors without actually going to a tutor. They just go to your YouTube channel. You could join a group. You could join a club. Depending on what what you used to teach, your spark is still there. Just because you're sparkless right now doesn't mean it's gone. It just took a little nap. Took a little sleepy sleep. Teaching gave you purpose, so let's pivot those skills. Let's think about what you could do to use those same skills and maybe get involved in volunteering or mentoring, corporations, national community services. Like I said, online, doing a YouTube channel where you're teaching kids some of the same stuff that you taught before. There's also VIP Kid. That is tutoring kids online with VIP Kid or mentoring women through Dress for Success. Try a purpose experiment for 1 month. Test a new activity weekly. Just try something new, maybe videotape it, or just do it for yourself. You don't have to videotape it. Try a new activity once a month. Once a week for a month. Try something new that you've never done before. Pickleball, volunteering, go to a book club, a wine club, even start a little side hustle. Your spark will flare up when you least expect it. But keep us posted. Let us know what you're doing. We really appreciate that. I know it was signed Sparkle in Seattle, but there's a lot of really cool things to do in the Seattle area. Dress for Success is a YouTube channel where they mentor empowering women through mentorship, and they help women on how to dress to go to meetings and how to dress for interviews and how to do things. It's a really cool channel for helping people that need a little advice from those who've already been there, done that, and got the t-shirt. Number three. What was that? That was the vampire. 3, 3, 1, 2, 3, 3. Anyway, I know, stupid. Number 3. Dear Margaret, I'm 55 and want to start a business, but everyone says it's risky at my age. Should I play it safe? Signed, Dreamer in Dallas. My response, you can tell everyone else to shut up. Hush. Nobody wants to hear you because you're wrong. Women over 50 are launching businesses at the record rates. 25% of new entrepreneurs. Remember that. And earlier, what was that stat? What was that earlier stat? 65% of women over 50 are returning to their hobbies and report higher life satisfaction. There was also that other stat where women over 50 are the fastest growing group starting businesses in the U.S., with 25% of new entrepreneurs being women over the age of 50. That's a pretty big stat, actually. So, sure, it's always risky. The reality is, starting a business is always risky, whether you're 20, 30, 40, 50, or 80. It's always risky to start a business. It's how you start it. Or is it going to be successful? That's about how much you put into it, how much work you put into it, is whether or not it will be successful. It's risky, sure. But so is staying stuck in a life that doesn't light you up. That's more risky. That's risky to make you bored and die of boredom. Start small though. Test your idea on Etsy or a local market. Watch Shark Tank clips on YouTube for inspiration. Absolutely. These pitches are fire. And I know some of those people that go and try to get on Shark Tank, they don't even go with the intentions of hoping to get a investor. They go for free advertisement of their new product. Some of these pitches are pretty fire. Check out the Female Entrepreneur channel for practical tips. You're not too old. You're too bold to wait. Don't wait. Go get it, Dallas. The Female Entrepreneur Starting a Business After 50 on YouTube. Let me see if this one will work, because seems like my links just don't like me. They don't seem to like me. So let's see if we can find one of these links that will work. I don't know. Nope, that one didn't work either. So let me see what the name of it is that I typed in here. I must be doing something wrong when I'm doing this. Let's see here. If I can't get it to play, then I will see if I can find it myself here, since the link doesn't want to work. Okay, let's see if we can play this one. It looks like it might actually work. So let's pull this one up. All right. 1 second, ladies, gentlemen, whoever's watching. Let's get this to share. Here we go. I like it when things work. See, it's so much easier when somebody's here, pulling up your videos for you. But I don't have that ability. I'm just me, so I have to do this. So you have to bear with me every now and then. All right.
Inspiration can come from any direction. But how do you take that new concept and make it a reality? In advance of the Ink Women Summit, I'm meeting up with some of my favorite entrepreneurs to talk about what empowers them on a daily basis.
You have all created businesses from out-of-the-box thinking. What made you veer left when everybody else was going right? Bobby.
When I moved to New York, it was the 80s and everyone was doing the, over made up contour look. I know it's back. I still don't like contour. So I would make up the models to make them look like they weren't wearing makeup, and that was my calling card. But there was no makeup available that allowed you to do that. I met a chemist one day at a shoot and I said, I can't find a lipstick that didn't smell, wasn't greasy, and I wanted to match lips. Then I realized, wow, this is something.
For me, entrepreneurship, it wasn't something that I aspired to. I always wanted to be an inventor. If I can be the perfect balance between Beyonce and Bill Nye the Science Guy every single day. Now we're installing our technologies around different countries in emerging markets, turning everything from floors and roads to baby strollers into energy generating solutions.
You guys both touched on this idea of identifying problems that existed in your life and looking at ways that you could shape an industry rather than looking at the industry itself. I started a fashion technology company with my co-founder. We had no fashion or technology experience. We knew what it meant to buy a dress for $1,000, wear it once, and then be photographed on social media and feel like you could never wear it again.
Right.
So we're like, well, that doesn't make sense. Renting dresses made sense. If you thought too far down the road, it could be easy to find all the why nots versus the how can you make this happen.
I want to hear Angela's story talking about
I'm sorry, I'm interrupting right there. What she just said was very, very important. Think about what she just said. If you thought too far down the road, it could be easy to find the why nots versus the how can you make this happen? That's something that you have to think about. That's something that you have to put in your mindset of what can you do to make this happen rather than there are a million reasons not to do something. And it's very easy to do that pro-con list and you can come up with a million cons and excuse me, you might only come up with 1 or 2 pros. But instead of looking at it from that perspective, how can you make this happen should be a mindset that you put yourself into. I think that's a great way of looking at it.
How can you make this happen?
I want to hear Angela's story, talking about how you are helping young entrepreneurs.
So I started New Me, which is an accelerator for minorities in 2011. We focus only on the technology industry, which at the time, it was young, technical, white guys club. I did not really start New Me as a business. It was a problem that I wanted to solve, and I thought it was going to be like a one-time project.
What do you see is standing in between these women and the dollars?
I'm going to touch back on another thing that she said just a second ago. I thought this was going to be a one-time project. And she looked at it like I had a problem that I wanted to solve. So as you look into possibly doing something new and a new purpose for yourself and something that you're passionate about, find a problem that you can help solve and you can make that part of your why. And if it makes you feel good when you're solving that problem for someone else, that can help you discover what your new why is or what your new purpose is.
I wanted to solve, and I thought it was going to be like a one-time project.
What do you see is standing in between these women and the dollars that you know they need to succeed?
When I work with men, they are not scared to ask for money, even if what they are working on is mediocre. But women can have something phenomenal, but it's like we hold ourselves back. So a lot of the work that I do, in particular with women, is confidence building, is getting them comfortable with asking for the money.
Priya, I want to talk about the impact you are having on.
That is a huge thing too. What she just said, women are looked at like when you're tough and you're strong, you're a bitch. A man is tough, he's strong, he's powerful. But a woman is looked at in a very negative light, and it has said many times that way. So we have to empower ourselves, and if it's money you have to seek, give yourself that empowerment and seeking out groups like this that can help you to find not just your purpose and your why, but your strength to be able to go after it, your strength to be able to go for what you want and how you can pursue that. That, I think, is a big part of it.
On actual people, helping them create wealth in a way that they've never even thought of before.
Historically, financial planning has been reserved for the wealthy. And when I was working on Wall Street, my clients were old and rich, and all of my friends at the same time were wondering, where do we go for the answers? There's this completely underserved, kind of ignored demographic that we call Henrys, high earners, not rich yet.
I so often hear young women say, I just want to be paid what I'm worth, but I don't even know what that means. And I very rarely hear young women say, I want to make a lot of money, right? It's as if we all sort of internalize this idea that the budget's not there.
Research show that men are 4 times more likely than women to ask. So at Stash Wealth, salary negotiations come up. Set it as a goal though, and it has to be a very concrete goal. Like, I want to buy a $250,000 house in 3 years. So I want to get a raise, and let's back into what you need to do today to be on track.
The flip side that millennials have to be very careful of is entitlement. For example, one kid said, I feel like I really need to make X. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. For this job, if you do all of this research, this is the highest you can get paid. And he's like, yeah, I didn't really think about what the job was. I just kind of thought, New York. What are you saying?
I don't think women talk about comp and salaries in the same way men do. Women I advise, some of the most valuable help I give them is actually talking in a real way about what should you be making, but getting the data out there, that's hard, especially amongst women, because there are fewer women who are in leadership roles.
I I find younger women are much more transparent with their salary. And for them, it's not TMI, it's cocktail talk. And I think that lifting the veil is gonna get us all closer to equality. In The Big Life, I have an entire chapter devoted to the side hustle secret to success. How do you know when it's time to make your side hustle your main hustle?
That is a good thing too. Like, many of you might already have a side hustle or something that you do as a hobby, part-time, a little something something. You've had people go, "Oh, where can I get that?" Or you know, and you could find that, hey, you could turn that into an actual business. And I think one of the hardest things, which this wasn't touched on, excuse me, but one of the hardest things I think for women, way harder for women than it is for men, but when you make something, say art type of stuff, and you make really pretty paintings, maybe it's fluid art or maybe it's wood art or whatever it is. One of the things that I've noticed is people they feel more entitled to ask you if you're friend or family to just make them something. And I think women have a much more difficult time saying, "Sure, I can make that for you. This is how much it would cost." Because we feel kind of obligated to just do for our friends and family instead of saying, "I can make this for you." Or answering that question, "Yeah, I can make that for you. This is how much it would cost you." Or, "Would you like me to give you an estimate? Would you tell me what your budget is?" When you say things like that, you are already putting a caveat to them that you're not going to do it for free. And I have, in my experience, with my art business, I have never had somebody, when I approach it in that manner, where I say it like that, "Sure, I can. What's your budget?" And that's where I usually start. "I can do that for you. What's your budget?" Because then I can make it within your budget. If they go, "Oh, I didn't realize," and I'm like, "Well, I can give you a couple ideas. This is how much I usually charge, and I have no problem giving a 10% family discount or something like that to them." But when you come out the gate saying, "This is how much it will cost," or my favorite line, like I said, is, "What's your budget?" Because that leaves the door open for them. I have a budget of $100. I have a budget of $300. I have a budget of $1,000. When you don't say that in the beginning, and then you do go ahead and make that for them, quite often they're thrown aback when you actually have a bill for them, because they thought that you were making it for them as a favor. It's same thing with your book. If you're going to write a book and everybody's like, "Oh yeah, you got to give me a copy." Well, you can buy a copy. I'll happily sign and this is a way you could say that. "I will happily sign a purchased copy." So you're already setting a precedence that I'm not just going to give it to you for free, because no entrepreneur makes a single dime if they give it all away for free. You have to think about that. Put that into perspective. We're only going to watch a little bit more of this.
I fully believe in the side hustle. And in fact, when I worked in finance, because I was not passionate about finance, I would spend whatever time I had doing college essay editing, which I kind of made a little business around, but ultimately went to business school and co-founded Rent the Runway in business school. So I was kind of side hustling it. I was taking classes, but I'm a pretty risk-averse entrepreneur. So the whole way I had a timeline of milestones that we had to meet. And I think it was helpful for me and my co-founder. It kept us honest. Ultimately, one of those milestones was raising money. And for me, raising money was another way of checking myself on, was this a good concept that VCs would put their name behind? So I very much believe like that parallel processing and kind of always having a little bit of a safety net. And then just being honest with yourself if something's not working. And forcing that brutal honesty, it's hard.
You need to be able to sell something or it's not a business. Don't quit your job, don't do anything until you figure that out. And then even after you figure that out, you got to do a deeper dive into the customer and try to find more customers like the ones who gave you $1.
When I'm talking to young women, they will ask me, "How do you get ahead in a male-dominated industry if you're a woman?" The advice I always give is to forget you're a woman, right? That you are a person.
Actually, that is the advice that Megyn Kelly gives. Is when there was a really good video with Megyn Kelly where she said, when you're going into, and this was about media, when you're going into that business, forget that you're a woman. You're not selling yourself as a woman. You want to just be one of the team. So you just want to do your job and take every job. The shitty jobs, the good jobs, the ugly jobs, just work. Put yourself in there so that you are recognized. Let's talk about rediscovering your passion. Those things that make your heart sing but got buried under laundry, careers, life choices, chaos. Passion is absolutely the fuel for purpose. And after 50, you've got the wisdom to chase what really matters. I love what these women said. Starting a business after decades of doing something else, maybe a nurse, maybe competitive sports. There are so many ways of trying to find something new, turning a side hustle into a business. But like they said, know your customer, find your customer, find what rekindles your confidence. Despite starting later in life, you have competitors. Find out who your competitors are. Reflect on your past joys. Write down what you've loved as a kid or in your 20s, art, sports, writing, all those different things. Acting, that it's a part of art, but acting, theater. 80% of midlife adults find purpose by revisiting old hobbies. Or try something new. Sign up for a class, pottery, dance, watch free tutorials on YouTube. Skillshare is a great place. Connect with community, join your local groups or online forums like Meetup. What's happening in your town. There's a lot of different events and you can find out what's happening. There's almost always a Facebook page for what's happening in wherever you live. And you can connect with other people. But the important thing is you also need to ignore the clock. Not like I'm doing right now. Ignore the clock. 60% of women over 50 say ageism holds them back. Prove them wrong. Start now. Who cares? Who cares what age you are? 80% of midlife adults who pursue hobbies report lower stress and higher purpose. 55% of women over 50 stay active and say creative outlets, creativity like art or music or acting or theater or improv boost their mental health. That's according to the National Endowment for the Arts 2022. Skillshare is a great place to find inspiration for late boomers, late people who are starting now, after 50. Purpose isn't just about you also. Think about that. It's about the mark you leave on the world. After 50, many women find their way through impact, volunteering, advocating, building a legacy. Remember when we did that video? I hope you remember that. If you're not, just go back and watch one of my old ones or go back and find the Megyn Kelly interview, or not Megyn Kelly, Laura Trump interview with the chief of staff, Susie Wiles. That was great. In her older years, she's got into politics. There's another woman, Karen, 59, who started a community garden. Let's talk about how giving back gives you purpose. There's other stories like Maria explains how mentoring fills her with pride and keeps her connections to innovation. Karen shares how her garden fosters community and heals her own mental health struggles. Start local. If you start at your local community, you can build up. 50% of volunteers over 50 find purpose through community work. Corporation or national and community service 2023. Check out Volunteer Match, volunteermatch.org. They can help you find that volunteer. My mother-in-law was volunteering with a organization in Texas that she really got a lot of fulfillment out of. Use your skills. Were you a teacher, a tutor, a manager, mentor? Your experience is gold. Remember that. Your experience is gold, and you can profit off of it as well as have purpose from it. Advocate for change. Join causes like women's rights or mental health groups or different organizations. Get into your local politics. Go to your GOP meetings or your Democrat meetings. I don't care what you are. If you want to see change, get involved. Think legacy. Write a memoir. Start a blog. Teach a skill or pass on your wisdom. And if you have a skill that is kind of going out and a lot of people aren't, like working on cars, believe it or not, there are a lot of women that actually know something about cars. But some of that knowledge that needs to get passed down, knitting, some of that stuff. A lot of people are forgetting how to do some of these things, cooking, making bread. Seriously, that would be a really cool channel. Volunteering reduces depression risk by 30% in adults over 50. Journal of Gerontology 2022. 65% of women over 50 say mentoring or advocacy gives them a sense of purpose. There's another link to a TED Talk, The Power of Giving Back in Midlife by Laura Gray. Watch that video. That's a great one. And if I had time, I would play that one, but we're just about out of time. We got 4 minutes left. I don't think I have time to get back to that one, but if I do, I will get back to it. Whew, that was a lot. From painting to mentoring to starting businesses, we've seen how women over 50 are rewriting the rules of purpose. Your why is out there. Y'all, your why is out there. You can find it. Find it from within. Seek it from within. It's in the things that make you laugh, cry, or want to change the world. So here's your homework. This week, try one new thing. Take a class, volunteer, or just journal about what lights you up. Share your story in the comments or hit us up on X at GurlTauX. All of our socials are GurlTauX, GurlTauX. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that bell for more GurlTauX, Real Talk. Until next time, keep shining. You're never too old to slay, and you're never too old to start something new. Just a stat recap, 60% of women over 50 want new goals. So join that movement. 25% of new entrepreneurs are women over the age of 50. Be that next one. Be the next one to start a new business. It's okay to feel like you aren't ready. Just try little at a time. You don't have to do it all at once. Try small things, one thing at a time, and you will find what your purpose is. Go watch some of those videos. I am out of time, so I am going to see if I can pull this one up and see if we got 2 minutes of this. I don't know if I can. Every time I seem to want to pull one of these up, they don't want to play. So we'll see if we can make it play. We'll see if we can find it. They're a little too long. You need to watch the whole thing. But go to actually YouTube and look it up. It's a TED Talk, The Power of Giving Back by Laura Gray. It was a 2021 YouTube. I'm going to still see if I can find it, but there's only a 2-minute section, 2 to 4 minute. And I'm still going to see if I can find it real fast before we end here. Because that one didn't show it. No, I'm not seeing that one. So, that's okay. That's okay. We're not finding that one, but look up Laura Gray. The Power of Giving Back in Midlife by Laura Gray. See if you can find that one. I watched it before. I've watched this a while ago, actually. It was a really good one. But you can find it, I'm sure, yourself. If not, just look up Laura Gray and you should be able to find that. Anyway, now that our time is up, let's check out of here. Go pour yourself a glass of wine or do whatever it is you're going to do for the rest of the evening. Thank you so much. And I will be back here on Monday at 7 p.m. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and join. Ring that bell, join my tribe. And again, like I said, I will see you again on Monday. Thank you for watching.
Thank you for watching GurlTauX live broadcast, which airs weekdays at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Don't forget to send in your Dear Margaret questions. Then join us for our opinion-based answers. We love having you. Thanks for taking the time to be with us tonight. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, and share with your friends. We'll see you tomorrow. Good night.
Monday.
Good night. Good night.
Good night.